Before we get started with the video, I want to let you guys know that we are mainly talking about mass air cars, not speed density. If you have a speed density car, you're not going to be able to make a lot of changes with it, and more than likely you're going to have to get a custom dyno tune. If you have a mass air car, that's what this applies to.
How far can you push one of these cars before you need a custom dyno tune? Before we go any further, I want to state the fact that obviously these are my opinions and they're going to differ from yours more than likely. But what we're going to do is talk a little bit about my past experiences with owning these Foxbodies and what you can get away with and what you can't. Second disclaimer is going to be, guys, it's always best to get a dyno tune. If you can get a custom dyno tune, hands down, don't risk it, go get one, right? A lot of people, though, don't have the means to, and they want to know, what can I get away with and still be safe? So if you guys have been following the build with the Calypso clone, you guys know we just kind of got this thing together and on the road and running. Well, today I went ahead and put a wideband in the car. Why did I do that? Well, simply because we need to monitor air-fuel ratios. So we put a wideband in this car so that whenever we put the micro squirt in, we'll be able to let it auto tune. Also, we'll be able to keep check on the air fuel ratio. But you would actually be surprised at how well these cars compensate with stock ECU. Now, air fuel ratios, there again, are very controversial. There's a lot of people that feel like it needs to be, you know, one reading, and another guy says this. But I can go ahead and tell you this, at idle, you're good at 13 to 15, somewhere in there. I mean, like I said, a lot of guys will say different numbers, but that's a good number. So as you can see, these ECUs are pretty good at compensating, unless you obviously go with a really big cam, you know, an extreme setup. But typically, heads, cam, intake, stuff like that, these computers in these cars are decent enough and smart enough to be able to compensate a little bit around that. Now, this car has 19-pound injectors still in it. You can go 24-pound injectors, something like that, and you still should not have to go get a custom dyno tune. Now, why do I say that? Well, guys, I've been around the block a little bit, been doing the Mustangs for a while, Foxbodies for years. Not telling you that I did it the right way, but what I can tell you is from experience. Back in the day, a lot of my friends, we all had Foxbodies, and none of us had a dyno anywhere around us, and for that matter, we didn't even have enough money to go get a custom dyno tune if there was one. So what do? Well, we slapped heads, cam, intake, headers, exhaust, you know, all this custom stuff, hot air kits, aka cold air kits that don't work half the time. So what do we do with these cars? Well, we ran them. Guys, we got out in the street, we street raced them, we took them to the track, we put wet shots on them, we put small dry shots on them, and really no issues. Now, with a boosted car, you do start to kind of get into the realm of really needing a custom dyno tune. Why is that? Well, when you start pumping air into one of these engines, obviously you got to have the fuel to go with it, and it really needs to be done right. Your AFR starts to change at this point. No longer are you looking for that, you know, 13.0 mark and stuff like that. No longer is it okay to be at a 14.5 or 14.6 AFR under high boost. It's not going to work, guys. You got to get that AFR down lower. Most of you already know this, but I do get questioned a lot about, well, what about gears and things like that? Do I need a custom dyno tune? No, you don't need a custom dyno tune for gears or anything like that. These are mechanically driven, and you have to change the gear out in the side of the transmission. I think a lot of people get so caught up in the new cars, right? These new cars, you almost can't do anything to these things without getting a custom tune. Not that way with these Foxbodies. They're not that smart. Just think of it that way. Now, I love Foxbodies, but the computers only have so many sensors that they tie into on the engine, and there's only so much data that it can send back and forth to the ECU. If you've got the money, you got the time and the ability, go get one. By all means. I know a lot of people freak out whenever they get one of these cars. Maybe you're new to the game and you think, man, I'd love to put a cam in it, but I don't have the money to go get a custom tune. You don't have to, guys. You don't have to worry about it. You can throw the cam in the car and you should be okay. And mainly that's because it's still naturally aspirated. Like I said, once you get into boost on these, you got to be careful, and you really do need to go get yourself a tune. But as long as it's naturally aspirated, you should be fine. Shouldn't run into any major issues. Now, there are other options out there. What is that? Well, you can go get yourself custom ECU, computer, whatever you want to call it. You can buy them for these cars and you can tune yourself. Now, tuning for yourself is not for everybody. So I'm not telling you to go out and grab yourself, you know, a micro squirt, mega squirt, a Holly kit, and just think that you can tune these cars. You can mess something up. Now, if you're on boost, absolutely, you can buy the stuff and then you can take it somewhere and let them tune it. I do not recommend, if you are on boost and you've never tuned a car, don't experiment with that. For instance, we're going to be putting a micro squirt in this car right here. Now, what is that? They make two different versions. They make a mega squirt and they make a micro squirt. The micro squirt is the more budget computer. So the micro squirt for this car is like 460 or 70 bucks. And all you do is take your stock computer out, plug it in. If you're running a mass air car, you change your BAP sensor out to a MAP sensor, plug your vacuum into it, and pretty much, guys, that's about it. The Mega Squirt is essentially the same way, except for it has a built-in MAP sensor, if I'm not mistaken. So you plug your vacuum from the intake into that. Now, that's about the gist of the Micro Squirt and the Mega Squirt. The Mega Squirt will control more things than the Micro. So if you've got some extra stuff that you need controlled by your computer, the Mega Squirt is the way to go. But ultimately, it's all going to be tuned the same, right? So the Mega and the Micro all use Tuner Studio. So when you're actually tuning, so when you're in there and you're in your cells and you're tuning these things, it's going to look the same for the Mega and the Micro. So just a little bit of a heads up there. I get a lot of comments saying that you should go to the Holley Terminator X because it's better. I only need it to do a few things, which is control air-fuel ratio. That's it. I don't need a lot of extra sensors. I don't need a lot of extra stuff going on. I just need it to be simple. And it's been proven that the Micro and the Mega work pretty good. There's the Pimp X. There's all sorts of other stuff out there. Quarter horse, I think, which is a little different. But there's other stuff out there, and you can do it yourself. Now, if you want to get into tuning your car yourself, you better get on YouTube and you better get in some books, and you need to read. Make sure you know what you're doing, because you can make some changes that could hurt your engine. How could you hurt your engine? Well, you could go in, make a couple changes that really lean the car out in high RPM, and yeah, you could in theory melt something. Unless you know what you're doing, don't play around with the boosted cars. I would take it, go get it tuned. Or maybe if you're comfortable, that's fine, or if you can get somebody to show you, but don't play around with those high-end settings up there in the high RPM when you're in boost on those, because you will burn one up really quick. So getting back to what we were talking about before, with these cars, like, it's okay to run 13 to 14 AFR, something like that, at wide open throttle. You're not going to hurt the car more than likely. It's okay. Usually in the high 13s, I should say. Now, with a boosted car, you need to be down in the 11s. I'll tell you what, I'll give you guys a really good example. My dad's car, Papa T's car, so he's got Windsor Jr. heads on it. He's got an F303 cam, a Cobra upper and lower, 30-pound injectors, exhaust, headers, you know, all that type of stuff. And he's also got an older Paxton Supercharger that makes about 5 pounds of boost. That car is not tuned, and it runs like a raped ape. Would it benefit from being tuned? Yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure there's horsepower left on the table, but that car has also been put together for about 12 years like that, and it's never hurt the engine. But don't get it twisted, guys. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that you don't ever have to get a tune on one of these cars. At some point, you do need to get a tune. It just, usually it's with more of a radical type setup. Now, for instance, this car out here, this is my 04 Cobra. It's got a 2.8 Kenny Bell on it. Makes about 25 pounds of boost on E85. Absolutely, you gotta tune this car. These cars won't even run right until you get them tuned. Now, I know there's going to be a lot of haters on this video down in the comment section typing away. That's fine. You can type away. You can give your opinions. But also, if you can, add to this video. Give more information out there if you can help somebody out in the Fox world with these cars. If you have some usable information, some constructive criticism, post it down below, because it absolutely helps everybody out. But don't just talk if you've never experienced it. Please don't get down there and start typing away if you don't have any experience. Let me say something, guys. The internet is a great thing, but the internet is also a bad thing. So many people get on the internet and they get in all these forums. I remember back in the day, like Yellow Bullet. Half these people didn't even have cars, and they were on Yellow Bullet, and they soaked up all of this information from the guys that have a lot of money, right? They're putting a lot of money in their cars. They're buying the best parts, and they do things to the T, which is fine. But what happened is a lot of people thought that was the only way to be able to do it, and it's not. There's always another way. There's always more than one way to skin a cat. If you don't have the money, just make sure you do your research. Try to keep it safe, and more than likely, there is another way of doing things. But the internet will get you in trouble. There's a lot of good information, a lot of bad information. You may be saying that this is a bad video and this is a bunch of bad information. I don't know. But either way, guys, sound off down below if you've had experience with one of these cars and it not being tuned. How did it run for you? At what level do you think one of these cars needs to go on the rollers and get a tune? All right, guys, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this video up. And as always, thanks for watching.